Hey everyone, welcome back to Sports Day Tribune. I'm Jenny, and today we're diving into the world of Angel Reese, the WNBA sensation who's making waves both on and off the court. Get ready for some exciting news about her latest venture. So what's the buzz all about? Well, Angel Reese, the Chicago Sky's rookie powerhouse, has just dropped a bombshell on her fans. She's launching her very own podcast, and let me tell you, it's got everyone talking. The name? Unapologetically Angel. Now, if that doesn't scream Angel Reese, I don't know what does. Let's first watch the promo and teaser of the show.
Angel Reese has been a blessing to girls basketball.
The most impressive rookie so far has been Angel Reese.
Look at all the brand deals that she has. The fame, the celebrity, and the newfound dollars.
I love that she's unapologetic. I love that she's authentic.
I feel like she's going to be a star.
Not only being the best on the floor, but also being unapologetically herself.
I got the keys to the kingdom. Ain't nobody stopping me now.
Hey y'all, so I'm super excited to be announcing my podcast, Unapologetically Angel. I'm looking forward to this so much. Y'all gonna see y'all favorite celebrities, actors, artists, anybody that y'all want to see. We're gonna be spilling the tea from our voice, our narrative, our perspective. Before the blogs, but y'all think y'all clocking tea, y'all not clocking no tea, because we gonna spill the tea on our real lives, period. Make sure y'all follow on all my social media platforms, Unapologetically Show on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all that. Make sure y'all follow to stay up to date. Every Thursday we drop it. We drop tea. We drop a tea every Thursday. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm super excited. Let me know what y'all want to see, the questions y'all got from my perspective, from my voice. Unapologetically Angel.
Let's break this down, shall we? Angel made the big announcement on a Tuesday, catching everyone off guard. I mean, who saw this coming? The girl's already dominating the basketball court, and now she's set to conquer the airwaves too. Talk about a double threat. Now here's the deal. The podcast is set to premiere on September 5th. Mark your calendars, folks, because this is going to be one you won't want to miss. And get this, new episodes will be dropping every Thursday. That's right, we're talking weekly doses of Angel Reese, straight from the source. But wait, there's more. Angel isn't going solo on this journey. She's teamed up with a co-host, and it's none other than Maya Reese. Now before you start wondering, no, they're not related. It's just a happy coincidence that they share the same last name. But let me tell you, Maya is no slouch in the media world. She's an Emmy Award winner, people. This girl has worked with the big guns, NBC Sports, CBS, SB Nation, Overtime. You name it, she's done it. She's even got experience as a podcast producer and co-host for Playmaker. Talk about a dream team. Maya seems just as pumped about this new venture as Angel. She took to Instagram to share her excitement, posting, "Secrets out. Still freaking out. At Angel Reese 5, you ready? At Unapologetically Show." I mean, can you blame her? Working with one of the hottest names in women's basketball right now? That's gotta be a thrill. Now, let's talk about what we can expect from Unapologetically Angel. Angel herself gave us a little sneak peek, and it sounds like it's going to be fire. In her own words, "I'm super excited to be announcing my podcast, Unapologetically Angel. I'm looking forward to this so much. Y'all going to see y'all favorite celebrities, actress, artists, anybody that y'all want to see." So it looks like we're in for a star-studded lineup of guests. I don't know about you, but I'm already trying to guess who might show up. But it's not just about the glitz and glamour. Angel's made it clear that this podcast is going to be real. She said we're going to be spilling the tea from our voice, our narrative, our perspective. And isn't that what we all want? To hear it straight from the source, no filters, no BS. Just pure, unadulterated Angel Reese. Now, if you're wondering about the vibe of the podcast, let me tell you about its tagline. Are you ready for this? What they gonna say now? Boom. If that doesn't encapsulate Angel Reese's attitude, I don't know what does. It's like a subtle clap back to all her critics, all those people who've tried to bring her down or criticize her game. Angel's basically saying, I'm here, I'm successful, and I'm doing things my way. What you gotta say about that? This tagline. It's not just words, it's a statement. It's Angel Reese saying, I'm unapologetically me, take it or leave it. And you know what? That's exactly why so many people love her. She's real, she's raw, and she doesn't pretend to be anyone but herself. And let's be real, Angel's got plenty to be proud of. Have you seen her stats this season? This girl is a double-double machine. She's averaging 13.5 points and 12.9 rebounds per game. That's not just good, that's phenomenal for a rookie. In fact, she recently set a WNBA record by becoming the first player ever to grab at least 20 rebounds in 3 consecutive games. The league better watch out, because Angel Reese is here to stay. But here's the thing. Despite her incredible performance on the court, Angel still has her critics. There are still people out there pointing out flaws in her game, trying to bring her down. And you know what? That's exactly why this podcast is so perfect. It's Angel's chance to tell her story, in her own words, without anyone else's filter. Now let's talk about why this podcast is such a big deal. First off, it's not every day that a rookie WNBA player launches their own podcast. This move puts Angel in the company of some pretty big names in basketball. We're talking LeBron James, Draymond Green, Trae Young, Patrick Beverley, and even Shaquille O'Neal. That's some elite company right there. But it's more than just joining a club of basketball players with podcasts. This is about Angel Reese building her brand. She's not just a basketball player anymore. She's a media personality, an influencer, a businesswoman. She's laying the groundwork for a career that could extend far beyond her playing days. And let's be honest, Angel's got the personality for it. She's charismatic, she's outspoken, and she's not afraid to be herself. That's a recipe for success in the media world. People are drawn to authenticity, and Angel Reese has that in spades. But it's not just about Angel. This podcast could be a big deal for the WNBA as a whole. Think about it. Every time Angel drops a new episode, that's more exposure for the league. It's another chance for people to engage with women's basketball, to get to know the players as people, not just athletes. And that kind of personal connection, that's what builds fan loyalty. Now, let's talk about the potential impact of this podcast. We've seen what can happen when athletes take control of their own narratives. Just look at LeBron's The Shop or Draymond's podcast. These shows have become go-to sources for insider perspectives on the NBA. They've sparked conversations, stirred up controversy, and kept fans engaged even during the off-season. Could Unapologetically Angel do the same for the WNBA? It's certainly possible. Angel's got the star power, she's got the personality, and now she's got the platform. This could be the start of something big. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Starting a podcast is one thing. Keeping it going is another. It takes a lot of work to consistently put out quality content week after week. Angel's gonna have to balance this new venture with her basketball career, her other endorsements, and whatever else she's got going on in her life. Speaking of endorsements, did you know Angel recently signed deals with Reebok and Reese's? That's right, the candy brand. Talk about a perfect match. I mean, can you imagine the marketing possibilities there? Reese's Pieces with Reese. Someone needs to make that happen, stat. But jokes aside, these deals are a big deal. They show that Angel's appeal extends beyond just basketball fans. She's becoming a mainstream celebrity, a household name, and this podcast, it's just going to amplify that. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, isn't Angel Reese still a rookie? Isn't this too much, too soon? And I get it. It's a valid concern. We've seen plenty of young athletes get caught up in the fame and lose focus on their game. But here's the thing. Angel doesn't seem like the type to let that happen. From everything we've seen so far, she's got a good head on her shoulders. She knows her priorities. And let's not forget, she's been in the spotlight for a while now. Remember her run with LSU in the NCAA tournament? That wasn't that long ago. And she handled that attention like a pro. Plus, let's give credit where credit is due. Angel's not just launching a podcast. She's launching a podcast while putting up monster numbers on the court. This girl is leading the league in rebounds, for crying out loud. She's proving that she can handle the off-court stuff without letting it affect her game. And you know what? Maybe this podcast will actually help her game. How, you ask? Well, think about it. When you have to talk about your sport week after week, analyze your performances, break down your thought processes, that forces you to reflect. It makes you more aware of your game, your strengths, your weaknesses. Who knows? This could be a tool for Angel to become an even better player. Now let's talk about the format of the podcast for a bit. Angel's mentioned that we're gonna see our favorite celebrities, athletes, artists, anybody that y'all wanna see. So it looks like we're in for a mix of sports talk and pop culture. And honestly, that's a smart move. By bringing in guests from different fields, Angel's expanding her audience. It's not just going to be basketball fans tuning in, it could be music lovers, movie buffs, fashion enthusiasts. This is Angel Reese positioning herself as more than just a basketball player. She's setting herself up as a cultural icon. And let's not forget about the spilling the tea part. Angel's promised to give us the real deal, straight from the source. In a world where athletes' words are often filtered through PR teams and media training, this kind of raw, unfiltered content is gold. It's what fans crave, that feeling of being an insider, getting the story behind the story. But here's where it gets really interesting. Angel's there going to be spilling the tea on our real lives. Period. Now, what exactly does that mean? Are we going to get a behind-the-scenes look at life in the WNBA? Are we going to hear about the challenges of being a rookie in the league? Or maybe we'll get some juicy locker room stories. Whatever it is, one thing's for sure. It's going to be authentically Angel. And that's what makes this podcast so exciting. We're not just going to get polished, pre-approved sound bites. We're going to get real talk from one of the most exciting young players in the game. Now let's talk about the potential guests for a moment. Angel's promised to bring on our favorite celebrities, athletes, and artists. So who could we see? Maybe some of her Chicago Sky teammates? Or how about some of her former LSU buddies? I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Kim Mulkey make an appearance at some point. But why stop there? Angel's star is on the rise, and she's been rubbing elbows with some pretty big names lately. Remember when she was at the Met Gala? Or when she attended the Prelude to the Olympics event? This girl's network is expanding rapidly. We could see anyone from fellow athletes to Hollywood stars to music icons. And you know what? That's smart business. Each guest brings their own fan base, their own perspective. It's a chance for Angel to expand her reach to connect with new audiences. And for us fans, it's a chance to see Angel interact with people from all walks of life. It's content gold, people. Now let's circle back to that tagline for a moment. What they gonna say now? More than just a catchy phrase. It's a mindset. It's Angel Reese saying, I'm here, I'm successful, and I'm doing things my way. And you know what? That's exactly the kind of attitude that makes for great podcast content. Think about it. This tagline suggests that Angel's not afraid to tackle controversial topics head-on. Hints at a willingness to address criticism, to confront naysayers. And in the world of sports media, that kind of fearlessness is a recipe for must-listen content. But it's not just about clapping back at critics. This tagline also suggests a forward-thinking mindset. It's not what did they say, but what are they going to say? It's Angel positioning herself as someone who's always one step ahead, always pushing boundaries, always giving people something new to talk about. And isn't that exactly what we want from our sports stars? We want them to be bold, to be daring, to give us something to cheer for, both on and off the court. With this podcast, Angel Reese is doing just that. Now, let's talk about the potential impact this podcast could have on Angel's career. We've seen how podcasts and social media presence can boost an athlete's profile. Just look at what The Shop did for LeBron James. Or how Draymond Green's podcast has made him a voice in sports media beyond just his play on the court. For Angel, this podcast could be a launching pad. It's a chance for her to show off her personality, prove that she's more than just a basketball player. It's an opportunity to build her brand, connect with fans on a more personal level. And in today's sports landscape, that kind of connection is invaluable. But it's not just about building her brand. This podcast could also be a powerful tool for Angel to control her own narrative. In the world of professional sports, athletes often find their words twisted or taken out of context by the media. With her own podcast, Angel has a platform to tell her story in her own words, without any filters or middlemen. And let's not forget about the business side of things. A successful podcast can open up new revenue streams. We could see exclusive sponsorships, merchandise lines, maybe even live shows down the line. Angel Reese is laying the groundwork for a career that could extend far beyond her playing days. But here's the really exciting part. This podcast could be a game changer for the WNBA as a whole. The league has been growing in popularity, but it still doesn't get the same level of media coverage as the NBA. By launching this podcast, Angel is creating another touch point for fans to engage with the WNBA. Think about it. Every episode is an opportunity to discuss what's happening in the league, to give listeners an insider's perspective on women's basketball. It's a chance to showcase the personalities of WNBA players, to let fans get to know them as people, not just athletes. And that kind of personal connection? That's what builds fan loyalty. That's what turns casual viewers into diehard supporters. In a way, Angel Reese isn't just building her own brand. She's helping to build the WNBA brand as a whole. Now let's talk about timing for a moment. Angel's launching this podcast in the midst of her rookie season. Some might say that's a bold move. After all, she's still finding her footing in the league. But you know what? I think it's brilliant. Why? Because right now, Angel Reese is one of the hottest names in women's basketball. She's making headlines, she's setting records, she's got people talking. By launching this podcast now, she's striking while the iron is hot. She's capitalizing on the buzz surrounding her name. And let's not forget, Angel's not just any rookie. She came into the WNBA with a huge following from her college days. Remember that NCAA championship run with LSU? Remember all the attention she got during March Madness? Angel Reese was a household name before she even stepped foot on a WNBA court. So in a way, this podcast feels like a natural next step. It's Angel Reese saying, "You've seen what I can do on the court, now let me show you who I am off the court." But here's the thing. Starting a podcast is one thing. Keeping it going is another. It takes a lot of work to consistently put out quality content week after week. Angel's going to have to balance this new venture with her basketball career, her other endorsements, and whatever else she's got going on in her life. And you know what? That's where having a co-host like Maya Reese comes in handy. With her experience in sports media and podcast production, Maya can help shoulder some of the load. She can help ensure that the podcast maintains a high level of quality, even when Angel's schedule gets hectic. Now let's talk about what this podcast could mean for Angel's future. We've seen athletes successfully transition into media careers after their playing days are over. Could this be Angel laying the groundwork for her post-basketball career? Certainly possible. By starting this podcast now, Angel's getting a head start on building her media skills. She's learning how to conduct interviews, how to craft narratives, how to engage an audience beyond just her play on the court. These are valuable skills that could serve her well long after she hangs up her basketball shoes. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Angel Reese is still in the early stages of what promises to be a long and successful basketball career. This podcast isn't about planning for retirement. It's about maximizing her platform while she's at the top of her game. And speaking of being at the top of her game, let's take a moment to appreciate just how impressive Angel Reese's rookie season has been so far. This girl is not just playing, she's dominating. We're talking about a player who's currently leading the league in rebound. That's not just good for a rookie, that's good for any player, period. But it's not just about the stats. It's about the impact Angel's having on the court. She's bringing an energy, passion to the game that's infectious. You can see it in the way her teammates respond to her, in the way the fans react when she makes a big play. Angel Reese isn't just playing basketball, she's putting on a show. And now, with this podcast, she's taking that show off the court. It's like she's saying, "You think I'm entertaining on the court? Wait till you hear what I have to say off it." Now, I want to circle back to something Angel said about the podcast. She mentioned that they're going to be spilling the tea from our voice, our narrative, our perspective. Let's break that down for a moment, as I think it's really important. First off, our voice. This isn't just about Angel. It's about giving a platform to voices that maybe haven't been heard as much in the sports media landscape. It's about bringing fresh perspectives to the table. Then there's our narrative. This is huge. In the world of professional sports, narratives often get shaped by the media, by fans, by critics. But with this podcast, Angel's taking control of her own story. She's saying, "This is who I am, this is what I stand for, and I'm going to tell you about it directly." And finally, our perspective. This is where things could get really interesting. Angel Reese has a unique viewpoint as a young Black woman in professional sports. She's experienced the highs of NCAA championship glory and the challenges of being a rookie in the WNBA. Her perspective on the world of basketball and beyond is one that I, for one, am really excited to hear. But here's the thing. Angel's not just limiting herself to basketball talk. Remember, she said we're gonna see our favorite celebrities, actress, artists, anybody that y'all wanna see. This tells me that Unapologetically Angel is gonna be about more than just sports. It's gonna be about culture, about life, about all the things that make Angel Reese who she is. And you know what? That's smart. Because as much as we love Angel for her basketball skills, she's more than just an athlete. She's a fashion icon. Remember her appearance at the Met Gala? She's a social media influencer with millions of followers. She's a role model for young women everywhere. By bringing all these aspects of her life into the podcast, Angel's not just creating a sports show. She's creating a cultural touchstone. She's positioning herself as a voice of her generation. Now, let's talk about the potential guests for a moment. Angel's promised to bring on our favorite celebrities, athletes, and artists. But who could we see? Maybe some of her Chicago Sky teammates? Or how about some of her former LSU buddies? I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Kim Mulkey make an appearance at some point. But why stop there? Angel's star is on the rise, and she's been rubbing elbows with some pretty big names lately. We could see anyone from fellow athletes to Hollywood stars to music icons. And each guest brings their own fan base, their own perspective. It's a chance for Angel to expand her reach, to connect with new audiences. And for us fans, it's a chance to see Angel interact with people from all walks of life. It's a chance to see her in a different light, to get to know her as more than just a basketball player. It's content gold, people. Now, I want to take a moment to appreciate the name of the podcast, Unapologetically Angel. I mean, come on, could there be a more perfect title? It's bold, it's confident, it's unapologetic, just like Angel herself. This title is making a statement. It's Angel saying, "This is who I am. Take it or leave it." And you know what? That's exactly why so many people love her. In a world where athletes are often coached to be bland and inoffensive, Angel Reese stands out because she's real. She's authentic. She's unapologetically herself. And that's what makes this podcast so exciting. We're not just going to get polished, pre-approved sound bites. We're going to get real talk from one of the most exciting young players in the game. We're going to get the unfiltered, unapologetic Angel Reese. But let's not forget about Angel's co-host, Maya Reese. This woman is a powerhouse in her own right, an Emmy Award winner who's worked with some of the biggest names in sports media. That's not just impressive, that's game-changing. Having Maya on board brings a level of professionalism and experience to the podcast, could really set it apart. She knows how to tell stories, how to craft compelling content. And with her background in sports media, she can help provide context and insight that complements Angel's first-hand experiences. Plus, let's be real, having two Reeses on one podcast? That's just fun. I can already imagine the chemistry these two are going to have on air. Now I want to talk about what this podcast could mean for the WNBA as a whole. Because make no mistake, this isn't just about Angel Reese. This is about raising the profile of women's basketball. Think about it. Every time Angel drops a new episode, that's more exposure for the league. It's another chance for people to engage with women's basketball, to get to know the players as people, not just athletes. And that kind of personal connection, that's what builds fan loyalty. Plus, by bringing on guests from outside the world of basketball, Angel's introducing the WNBA to new audiences. She's bridging the gap between sports and pop culture. And in doing so, she's helping to cement the WNBA's place in the broader cultural conversation. But it's not just about growing the fan base. This podcast could also be a powerful tool for addressing some of the issues facing women's sports. Equal pay, media coverage, sponsorship deals. These are all topics that I'm sure will come up on Unapologetically Angel. And by talking about these issues openly and honestly, Angel and her guests can help drive the conversation forward. Now, let's talk about timing for a moment. Angel's launching this podcast in the midst of her rookie season. Some might say that's a bold move. After all, she's still finding her footing in the league. But you know what? I think it's brilliant. Why? Because right now, Angel Reese is one of the hottest names in women's basketball. She's making headlines, she's setting records, she's got people talking. By launching this podcast now, she's striking while the iron is hot. She's capitalizing on the buzz surrounding her name. And let's not forget, Angel's not just any rookie. She came into the WNBA with a huge following from her college days. Remember that NCAA championship run with LSU? Remember all the attention she got during March Madness? Angel Reese was a household name before she even stepped foot on a WNBA court. So in a way, this podcast feels like a natural next step. It's Angel Reese saying, "You've seen what I can do on the court. Now let me show you who I am off the court." But here's the thing. Starting a podcast is one thing. Keeping it going is another. It takes a lot of work to consistently put out quality content week after week. Angel's gonna have to balance this new venture with her basketball career, her other endorsements, and whatever else she's got going on in her life. And you know what? That's where having a co-host like Maya Reese comes in handy. With her experience in sports media and podcast production, Maya can help shoulder some of the load. She can help ensure that the podcast maintains a high level of quality, even when Angel's schedule gets hectic. Now, let's talk about what this podcast could mean for Angel's future. We've seen athletes successfully transition into media careers after their playing days are over. Could this be Angel laying the groundwork for her post-basketball career? It's certainly possible. By starting this podcast now, Angel's getting a head start on building her media skills. She's learning how to conduct interviews, how to craft narratives, how to engage an audience beyond just her play on the court. These are valuable skills that serve her well long after she hangs up her basketball shoes. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Angel Reese is still in the early stages of what promises to be a long and successful basketball career. This podcast isn't about planning for retirement. It's about maximizing her platform while she's at the top of her game. And speaking of platforms, let's talk about where you can find Unapologetically Angel. Angel's mentioned that the podcast will be available on 4 different platforms: Instagram, TikTok, X, formerly known as Twitter, and YouTube. That's smart. By spreading across multiple platforms, she's making sure her content is accessible to as many people as possible. Plus, each of these platforms offers different ways to engage with content. Instagram and TikTok are great for short, snappy clips. X is perfect for real-time reactions and discussions. And YouTube? That's where we'll probably see the full-length episode. By using all these platforms, Angel's not just creating a podcast, she's creating a multimedia experience. And in today's digital age, that's exactly what you need to stand out. Now, I want to circle back to that tagline one more time. What they gonna say now? Because the more I think about it, the more I love it. It's not just a catchy phrase, it's a challenge. It's Angel Reese daring her critics to doubt her. It's her way of saying, I'm not just talking the talk, I'm walking the walk. And you know what? That's exactly the kind of attitude that makes for great content. Bold, confident, a little bit provocative. It's everything we've come to expect from Angel Reese. So, what can we expect from Unapologetically Angel? If I had to guess, I'd say we're in for a wild ride. We're going to get insider perspectives on the WNBA. We're going to hear from some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment. We're going to get unfiltered, honest conversations about everything from basketball to fashion to social issues. But most of all, we're going to get Angel Reese. Unscripted, unfiltered, and unapologetic. Honestly, I can't wait. So mark your calendars, folks. September 5th. That's when Unapologetically Angel drops. And something tells me it's going to be must-listen content from day one. This is Jenny from Sports Day Tribune, signing off. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. And hey, why don't you drop a comment below telling us what you're most excited to hear about on Angel's new podcast. Until next time, keep balling.